Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast Five by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer and good morning, Adam Lang.
Good morning, Sean.
On weekdays, it's all about the Fast Five, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, though, we're still going to keep it to 5 minutes, more or less, but we're going to pick out the biggest story of the week, the sleeper story, the one that tends to fly under the radar, the most remarkable story, and our favourite story. Let's get into it. Adam, what was your biggest story of the week?
Sean, it was interest rates going up on Tuesday by 0.5% to 2.35%. And then on Thursday, Governor Dr. Phil Lowe said that while there'll be more interest rate rises, the current pace of hikes is set to slow. That, hopefully, is less bad news ahead.
I think so. I agree with it. I think that is the biggest story of the week. I'd also throw in the economic growth figures. In the June quarter, the economy was travelling at a 3.5% to 4% pace. It's come off somewhat since then, but wow, not bad really. Plenty going on in markets as well. Equities down and then up. Aussie dollar back close to 2-year lows. Crypto's falling out of bed. Plenty going on. But I agree with you, Adam. The biggest story of the week is definitely interest rates. Okay, what about the most remarkable story? Let me jump into that one.
Sure.
For me, it was the incredible surge in the sale of electric vehicles. Now, let's face it, Australia, even the big cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Brisbane and Adelaide aren't set up for EVs. Not enough charging stations, not enough affordable vehicles, really. Yet last month, the Tesla Model 3 was the 4th largest selling vehicle in the country. Now, if you take out the work vehicles, Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger, then the Tesla Model 3 was the 2nd largest selling passenger vehicle. Truly remarkable. It was a good month all round. August, more than 95,000 vehicles were sold, up 17% from a year earlier. 4.4% of them were electric. That's by far the highest market share for EVs ever. If you add in hybrids, more than 10% of sales are now electrified vehicles.
Sean, I think that's a tipping point for EVs.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we've got a long way to go with the charging stations and making them affordable, but still, would you agree that's perhaps the most remarkable story of the week?
Oh, you win.
Okay, what about your sleeper story, Adam?
Sean, for me, and being a fan of economics, Jim Chalmers, Federal Treasurer, and his tough budget warning. Sean, not only is Jim Chalmers warning of a tough budget next month, he's also warning of a tough budget next year. So we've got at least a couple of tough budgets ahead to turn towards paying back our $1 trillion national debt pile. That means we've got some pretty tough decisions to make and probably some tough things to live with. Mr. Chalmers did say that the National Disability Insurance Scheme, aged care, hospitals and defence need to be preserved, but that we all need to face up to the fiscal challenge ahead. I'm guessing 2 years of tough budgets and then some relief ahead of the next federal election. Big sleeper story.
I agree with that one. Look, the sleeper for me was the diplomatic offensive Australia went on this week. Start with a big one, China. China's ambassador to Australia said he's been working with the Foreign Affairs Department on a high-level meeting between Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Chinese President Xi Jinping. If it was to happen, it would be on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Indonesia in November. Given no one in Beijing would even take a phone call from Canberra 12 months ago, the fact that we're talking about it is quite a coup. And if it actually comes off, that's got to be good for relations between the two countries. Also this week, Anthony Albanese said he'd be lunching with Solomon Islands Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare next month. Notwithstanding, Mr Sogavare said Australia was meddling in internal politics this week by offering to fund elections in the Pacific Island nation. Obviously, the Solomon Islands is very important strategically because of its close ties with China. And finally, Timor-Leste President Jose Ramos Horta has been in Australia signing a defence agreement. All this diplomatic effort over this past week didn't get enough attention, I reckon. Sleeper story of the week.
Sean, I think you're right on that one. So many delicate manoeuvres in our region of the world.
That's right. Now, Adam, what's your favourite story of the week?
Sean, for me, it was the new AFL broadcast deal. We love big numbers at the Fast Five, especially amongst the finals fever of September. And this week, the AFL announced a record broadcast deal. Seven and pay TV operator Foxtel will keep the rights at the expiration of the current deal in 2024 to cover the 2025 to 2031 seasons. The 7-year deal has been described as the biggest partnership in the history of Australian sport and will see around $4.5 billion pouring into the code. AFL Chair Richard Goyder said the historic deal would allow the AFL to invest in the grassroots of the game and keep it affordable for fans. That has got to be good news, and that's why it's my favourite story of the week.
Fair enough. A quick mention for me. I love the story about Dan Murphy's 10-minute interviews. The liquor retailer wants to find 2,200 people in the run-up to Christmas, so anyone that walks in is over the age of 18 and interested in a job is guaranteed an interview for 10 minutes with the store manager. The manager can size them up, decide whether they want to go any further anymore. Very innovative. I love the idea. My favourite story of the week.
It's a ripper, Sean, and it's a little bit different than just popping the job up on Seek, isn't it?
That's exactly right. There we go, 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business over the last week. Thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you, Sean.
We'll be back on Monday with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer, and this is the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed.